Going in there. This, on the other hand, you enter the Valet. Oh, good God. The Valetudinarium, where wounded soldiers come to expose themselves to the harsh ministrations of Roman medicine. Some get better on their own, some survive, after an amputation or 3, and some, well, some end up no better off than if they just stayed on their backs in the field of battle. This is basically the hospital, if you can call it that. It's probably more like a mash, really. Let's have a look, see who's about. Right, this is a little courtyard here. Got a door here which leads into a room which contains a bunch of dressers with items in them marked NY. NY means it's not yours and will count as stealing if you take it. Now, we're not in the business of stealing, we are Roman soldiers after all, not common thugs. But let's speak to this fellow over here. He's called Lucius apparently, so let's say hello. You come across the key staple of any well-equipped fort, the camp doctor. Roman medicine is unreliable, but much better than anything the local clansmen have. He's getting on in years, though he still wears his armour well. He shakes your hand. I am Lucius. Welcome to my office. Are you well? He looks you over, searching for fresh wounds. As he looks at you, you look at his office. Although he is a Roman, he seems to have been a keen study of the healing arts of the local savages. Bundles of strange herbs and bottles of peculiar goo cover the shelves along the walls. So you are the doctor for this fort? I am. I can heal you if you need it. He sighs. Which you probably will. People keep getting wounded around here, as if I don't have other duties. It sounds like this personally offends him. Lucius has studied the more exotic healing arts of Shadowvale. He is capable of healing even the most devastated character. After your adventures, visit him if someone has a nasty case of the deadness. What are your other duties then? Well, I'm not just a doctor, I'm a soldier. I have all the responsibilities that come with my rank. You lumps of meat tend to forget that. It's all I can do just dealing with the things I see going on patrol. He sighs. A soldier's life, it has its points, but I'm starting to get tired. So what things have you seen on patrol then? He suddenly looks nervous. Like many of the men in his fortress, he seems hesitant about speaking with you. He says in a flat voice, there are rogues and rogue natives about, and wolves. It can be dangerous, and the terrain is rough. Tired. Patrol makes me tired. I'm sure you know how it is. He smiles weakly. Why are you tired? He chuckles. You're young. You don't understand yet. You have the girls, but as you get on in years, you'll start to miss having a hearth, a home, a common law wife, and a few acres of grain. That's what I want now. Well, I get it. He shakes his head sadly. I don't know, but I hope. I do have another question. Tell me about this fort. Shadow Valley Fort. 300 soldiers and only me to look after them, and plenty of them keep getting wounded, even though we're far from any action. So, you may give us the same response as before, actually, now I think about it, but why are the soldiers getting wounded so much? Suddenly, he seems to decide that he's said enough. Wounded? Oh, yes, wild animals, accidents, nothing unusual or out of the ordinary. That seems unlikely, but you don't push it. Can you heal me? He spends a while looking you over, grumbling every moment. He gives you whatever salves, herbs, and unguents he feels you... I have no idea how you meant to pronounce it, but I'm going to call it unguents. He feels you need, curing you as well as his limited capabilities allow. When he finishes with you, you do feel invigorated. Then Lucius plops back down into his chair, annoyed by the interruption. There's nothing else we can talk to him about, so we're going to leave him be. In fact, we're going to leave the field hospital entirely, in fact. So, we've explored roughly half the fort according to the auto map. Here we go. You step into the central courtyard of Shadow Valley Fort, where formations are practiced and the troops can be reviewed. From this central area you can get a good look at the outpost where you've been stationed. It's not a large fort, it's been constructed only recently. There aren't many soldiers about. A lot of them are probably on patrol or keeping the peace, but this fortress is also clearly staffed at far less than capacity. As you look around, you notice that the other soldiers seem to be watching you. Nothing overt, just the occasional surreptitious peek. They aren't friendly glances either, they seem nervous about your presence. An understaffed fort you've never heard of, full of edgy, uncomfortable soldiers. Even considering the rebellion raging to the east, this is still very unusual. Fortunately, headquarters are at the north end of this courtyard. As you approach the commander's office, the door opens and someone starts to emerge. You stand out of the way and watch. The person limping out of the commander's office was a Roman scout, probably reporting back from a reconnaissance mission. The muddy stains on his armor and cloak tell you that much. However, that isn't what gets your attention. What you really notice are the fresh marks on his armor. There are scratches from barely deflected weapon blows. Not too odd, but there are also what looks like claw marks on his legs, and scorch marks on his chest and arms, as if he was blasted by bursts of flame. The scout looks like he has barely escaped a very unusual ambush. He turns, looks you over, and smirks, as if daring you to ask what happened to him. We shall, what happened to you? The scout laughs. Shadow Veil happened, and we are all suffering through it. Go see the commander, you'll bear your marks soon enough. He decides that he's been sufficiently unhelpful, and he heads to the smithy to get his gear repaired. Okay, so more strange stuff going on, essentially. This over here, let's have a look at the sign. This is the headquarters. We're still not going to go in there just yet. There's still more things I want to go and have a look at. Like this chap over here. This guy is Tesserarius Servius, apparently. You meet a small, wiry soldier with long, stringy hair. He stands near the west gate, keeping a careful eye on what's going on around him. I'm Servius, the Tesserarius. Greetings. This Tesserarius is the soldier in charge of giving all the other soldiers the current passwords. He seems very nervous about talking to you. What's your main duty here? Well, I give the passwords to the soldiers, and I keep close watch on things for the commander. What's the current password, then? You don't need to know the passwords, it's alright. Honoured visitors like yourselves can come and go as you please. As he speaks, he seems to be avoiding eye contact with you. I am an honoured visitor? Yes, visitors such as yourselves are to be treated with the greatest respect and courtesy. You aren't quite sure what he means by visitors such as yourselves, and he doesn't seem inclined to elaborate. I have another question. Has this been your post for long? No, I was just a scout before. The previous Tesserarius was a friend of mine, Titus Varanus by name. He seems to be eager to talk about Titus, enough to overcome his nervousness about you. A good friend, but then he left. Tell me about Titus. He starts to talk, but then he stops. He remembers who he is talking to. I'm sorry, fellow citizen. You are new here. I would rather not open my heart to you. I don't want to have to open my veins because of it. That's all for now, since we can't ask him anything else. This, on the floor over here, however, is worth picking up. A couple more javelins. I'm going to give those straight to Numius. He now has 21 javelins, which is good news. So, let's go and have a look in here. The healthy smell of fresh sweat greets you. You step into Shadow Valley's fort training rooms. You walk over a polished wooden floor, speckled with dried blood of recent trainees. Here is where young soldiers come to have the wisdom of the battlefield beaten into them. Okay, so gameplay information here. This is where you can come to pay to learn certain special skills. You can always spend skill points to train your character. Do so by pressing the train button under the character's portrait. Now, where it says info here, we can click on that to see the character info. Once you've leveled up and you've got more skill points, that will turn into a button that says train, and then you can add your skill points. That's basically what it's saying. So, who's this fellow over here? He is called Gnaeus, apparently. You easily recognize the grim, harried demeanor of a centurion concerned about the condition of his troops. Once a soldier is posted to a fort, it takes constant effort and vigilance to keep him in fighting shape. The centurion looks you over with something almost resembling approval. Almost, but not quite. I am Gnaeus. Welcome to the practice hall. I can train you if you need it. What is your main duty at the fort? I'm trying to keep the troops here in shape. I bring them here, work them, and send them crawling back to their barracks, he laughs. Do the soldiers need to... Wait, we're at 4 options right now. Do the soldiers need to get into shape? Do I look weak? Do they actually have to crawl back? Do the soldiers need to get into shape? He tilts his head and grins. Listen, you can hear muscles softening around here. Oh, sorry, you can hear muscles softening around here. Armor bulging from the flab, pushing it out from the inside. He flexes a muscle. Lately, the troops have been getting soft and weak. Do I look weak? You look well worked. You've been on the march recently, I can tell. Still, feel free to use this hall for practice. It never hurts to spend time sharpening one's skills. It's the Roman way. Never rest, keep pushing on. Do they actually have to crawl back? They, by them. I'm not sure who it means by they. Probably the recruits. He shakes his head. I swear, the soldiers are getting feebler every year. He picks up a medicine ball and gives it a few careless tosses. These days, I hardly have to work them at all before they break. So you keep them from getting too soft. He smiles weakly. Well, this is just an ordinary fort, as I'm sure you know, so the troops are slowing down, getting complacent. Nothing unusual. If I don't punish them a bit, they'll be no good for the Empire when a battle comes. I have another question. What sort of training do you offer? I've learned much of many crafts. I'm always trying to learn more lore so I can share it with my fellows in the Legion. That is why I enjoy being stationed here. There is unusual lore here. Lore that isn't corrupted, that a true Roman can benefit from, and I pay those who would share what they find with me. You will pay for lore? Tell me more. You've just received a new quest. Most of the barbarians of Britannia don't read or write, savages, but some of the people in Nethergate can write, in some strange runic language. Mostly they record their nonsense tales and legends. Sometimes, however, their writing is far more valuable. As you undertake missions for the commander, watch out for scrolls with their savage language and bring them to me. If they contain useful information, I will share it with you. You can understand their writing? No, but Gaius can. He's old and he's getting weak, but he's learned a lot in his years out here. You can usually find him in the mess hall. So, what sort of training do you offer? I would like to see what you can teach me. So now we can essentially pay him to increase our skills. Think in terms of an Elder Scrolls game in this case. Basically, we pay him money and he will increase one of our skills. Specifically, however, he will increase, mostly, not always the case, but mostly he will increase our special skills. For most of these, as you can see, you've got woodcraft, barter, first aid, herbcraft. These are all special skills you can't learn normally by yourself, just through the level up interface. You have to buy them to increase them. He does offer training and other stuff like hardiness and defense, however, as well, though that's pretty damn expensive. We only have 115 gold, and it's not really worth the bother, so we'll just click done. There's also, I think, a javelin over here, so let's go pick that up, shall we? And give it to Numius. We've got another fella in here. Who is that? That's Sextus. This is a young soldier, barely out of training. He barely needs to shave and his armour doesn't fit quite right. He's probably about 17, but one thing is out of place. His eyes look like they belong to an older person. Much, much older. He's trying to purge his experience with exercise. Sweat pours down his face as he practices his spins and parries. When you approach him, he ceases his efforts only with clear regret. I am Sextus, greetings. His voice is soft and quiet, and he refuses to meet your eyes. He looks tired. What is your rank? I'm just a velite. That's practically the lowest grade of soldier, not even allowed to march in a formation with the more experienced warriors. I'm recently arrived here from Rome. It's quite a surprise. You have never met anyone from Rome before. The mighty capital of the Empire seems impossibly distant. What do you hope to accomplish? I hope to perform well in a local campaign and make a noble name for myself. His words come out slowly and unsteadily. His discomfort at speaking with you is palpable. How was Rome when you left? If Sextus looked uncomfortable before, he becomes about ready to crawl out of his skin when you mention Rome. He doesn't even respond, he just shuffles from foot to foot. That's all for now then. So, more shifty looking people about this place. They don't seem to want to talk to us for whatever reason. So, I would like to quite like to go find this Gaius fellow. In fact, actually, hello. What is this place? Brennus. In typical efficient Roman fashion, this soldier is hard at work as the fort blacksmith. Above the waist he is stripped. Below the waist he is still in battle dress, ready for an attack. He's bathed in sweat and steadily